Hello and welcome to today's webinar with eLotus, your leading provider of acupuncture continuing education. My name is Donna Chow and I'll be your host and your moderator. Today's webinar is Master Tung's Brilliant Strategies in the Clinic for Male Disorders presented by Dr. Robert Chu, who is a longtime instructor at eLotus. If you're interested in learning from his earlier work, please visit elotus.org to find his distant learning CEU videos. Today's class will run from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a 1-hour lunch break from about 1 to 2 p.m. We'll have 2 breaks in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, and Dr. Chu will let you know when we do go on break. Allow me to highlight some important Zoom features before we begin. The chat room is first. If you can, please set your chat preference to everyone so that whenever you type into it, everyone can see what you're typing and be part of the conversation. Secondly is the Q&A box. For any questions for Dr. Chu only, please type them into the Q&A box. So again, these are questions for Dr. Chu relating to today's webinar topic. For any comments or just thanking him, please type that just directly into the chat room so we can keep everything organized. Finally, for those who qualify, your CEU quiz will be available the following working day, and I'll send an email out when that is ready. And if you want to watch the video replay, that will be available tomorrow, Monday afternoon, in the late afternoon. So please check your course access page at that time. Our speaker today is Dr. Robert Chu, a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist specializing in the Master Tung Acupuncture methods. In his private practice in Los Angeles, he effectively treats pain, a wide variety of internal disorders, gynecological disorders, infertility, and side effects from cancer treatments. Let's get to the good part now, you guys, and welcome our speaker, Dr. Chu. Dr. Chu, please feel free to take over and share your screen.
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate it, and thank you for the eLotus staff for hosting me today. It's been a while since I've taught on eLotus, and so what I wanted to do is really come back and give a lecture that pertains to everyone, and I've got it here today. Today is going to be male disorders, and then tomorrow will be female disorders. And so I really want to stress here, this is your seminar, so talk as much as you like in the chat or ask me questions, etc. And happy to answer your questions for you. It's because we all work on a Saturday at the clinic. It's like, it's a long day, and I certainly understand. So first of all, I hope everyone can see our screen. Have I shared it properly with you guys? Okay. All right, excellent. Thank you so much. All right. So today is topics for male disorders. I'd like to acknowledge my teachers for helping me so much to learn the system. First and foremost is Dr. Yang Weijie. He's retired now, but was very influential in teaching me the majority of the Tung system. And I'm very grateful to his teaching and helping him in being a translator and then working with him very closely on his previous works. And then Dr. Wang Chuanmin, also a disciple of Master Tung. He was so kind to me where he answered all my questions about Master Tung, and I still refer to him and look to him as my mentor and for guidance. My late master, Dr. Chen Zhao, the creator of I Ching acupuncture system. Sometimes it's also called the I Ching Balance Method acupuncture system. He passed away several years ago, but his example always is with me. And I always contemplate things as Dr. Chen taught me. Miriam Lee is a pioneer of Tung's acupuncture in the USA, but she's also a pioneer of acupuncture here in California, as well as being one of the first acupuncturists. In fact, in the 70s, when Miriam came here and started practicing acupuncture, acupuncture was not licensed. Governor Ronald Reagan, I guess had her prosecuted. She was thrown in jail, and then her patients and students pleaded for her to be released. A new governor, Governor Jerry Brown, released her, set up the Acupuncture Board as an experimental medical system to be practiced here in California, and the California Acupuncture Board was done here. So kudos to Miriam Lee. If you know that, that she was a Tungs acupuncture practitioner, one of the earliest to be here. And of course, people in San Jose, Sunnyvale, and Cupertino all know what a great influence she was. And I was also very encouraged by her top student, Esther Su, who's also teaching here on eLotus, to pursue the materials and study with Dr. Yang, and then really learn the Dong system in depth. And then I did a lot of cross-reference with information from China and Taiwan on the Dong system. And then from that time of studying with Dr. Chen, I studied a lot of classical acupuncture, references to Chinese metaphysics and the I Ching, and very much, I wouldn't say I'm an I Ching scholar, but very much interested in the subject and really studied a lot. So thank you so much. I appreciate all my teachers and my influences in life, and I'm so lucky and blessed to share this with you. I came across a good quote the other day. I mean, literally, it was just the other day, where the famous Japanese practitioner Shudo Denmei had made a comment, and I'll read it to you guys. It may come as a surprise, but the disease that acupuncture, acumoxa, in Chinese it would be zhenjiu, or in Japanese also, that works best for is visceral diseases, meaning internal medicine diseases or zangfu diseases generally. Looking over this profession in Japan, the most frequent reports are on orthopedic diseases, in other words, pain. For example, about 80% are back pain, joint pain, neck and shoulder stiffness. There's no question that acupuncture is effective for these conditions, but we don't need to limit ourselves to these. If this trend continues, the true value of acumoxa will never be realized. Acumoxa will lose its standing in society as well as our medicine. Our whole profession must work together to expand our scope. And as I see this, it's very clear with regards to eLotus promoting and having many guest instructors teach their systems. And then for people to realize, our medicine is in danger of becoming extinct. It might be completely absorbed by physical therapy and or pain management doctors. And then we have thrown away our opportunity to make our medicine shine. So what we need to do is really step up. And this is my idea and vision and goal to help step up the profession, give you my secrets, which are really not secrets, they're just details. And what it is share the clinical success so that you guys will benefit, and then our industry will benefit as a whole. So thank you so much there. My approach is very simple: a minimum of points, prescribing custom herbal prescriptions. That's generally what I do. However, in the last 20 plus years of practice, I'm very familiar with classical formulas and very familiar with the eLotus, or shall we say, the Evergreen Herbs product line. And they are a very good start in combining them. And then later on, you'll do your own custom herbal prescriptions. My approach to patients is, if they're coming for acupuncture, they're going to come 2 to 3 times a week. And a course of treatment, it consists of 10 to 12 visits. On the last treatment, they may be recommended another course of treatment, or, a reducing of treatments, and maybe spread out, maybe once a week, once every other week, depending, okay? But they may still be taking herbs as homework and daily work as they're getting better. And then I also suggest to patients that they have convenience instead of brewing raw herbs, which is fine if you're old-fashioned and romantic. You want to do something like that. That's excellent. However, patients really do well with topicals, with patents and custom formulas that are in granular form or capsule form, and then use what we call in the industry as just in time, which is don't hold on to too much inventory. Okay, when I first started out, I bought tons and tons of patent herbs, and I realized, the stock goes bad. Some patients don't pick up the herbs. You spent the money and lost the money. And you keep the herbs on hand, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. At one point, I looked at it. It's like, oh, I've got over $10,000 of inventory here. What am I going to do to get rid of it? And I just couldn't believe it. So I changed my approach to have little to no inventory, have herbals shipped directly to patients, or create a custom formula that was shipped directly to patients. And in the old days, with evergreen herbs or lotus herbs at that time, there was a customization of herbs. But now, since they've changed, they don't allow that. But certainly, their product line is fantastic, and I've certainly used it. So I will be mentioning that almost with every disorder. Okay. And I want you to know, as acupuncturists and Chinese medicine practitioners, you should choose your ratio of acupuncture and herbal therapy. You should not do them all. For example, let's say a patient has shoulder pain, and then they have high cholesterol, high blood pressure. Let's say the practitioner is more of an herbalist as opposed to an acupuncturist. Well, he'll treat the shoulder pain. So maybe he'll do a ton of needles around the shoulder, the right shoulder. Okay, it's a different approach. It works. It moves qi and blood. It breaks up the stagnation in the area. It can help people, but it may not be the best acupuncture solution. But let's say they are better herbalists, so they write an herbal formula for what? Neck and shoulder. They have a formula for high blood pressure, hypertension. They have a formula for cholesterol. Okay, well, that's fine. They could actually do more with their herbs as opposed to the acupuncture. On the other hand, let's say you have another person who's an acupuncturist, and they have to see several syndromes. So they have a patient comes in with low back pain, has hypothyroidism, has difficulty seeing in the dark, night blindness, and then they have issues with regards to their weight. So which one do you want to give as acupuncture? Which ones do you want to give as herbs? Which ones do you want to give, a combination of? Okay, you don't have to do acupuncture and herbs just for all of them. You can choose. Okay, for your low back pain, I'm going to do acupuncture. For your night blindness, I'm going to do acupuncture. For your other internal medicine problems, we'll do herbals. Okay, so my point is, keep trying to vary your proportions of acupuncture and herbs, and then regarding, let's say, classical formulas or even the evergreen collection. Maybe the evergreen collection gives about 80% relief, 90% relief. Well, maybe you get it over with the 10%, okay, with acupuncture. You make it up with the acupuncture so that they get 100% relief. Do you follow me? I think I'm trying to make it so that you choose your ratio, acupuncture therapy and herbal therapy. So this way you're always able to do everything, that's best for your patient, and look at it from that point of view. Okay. My idea is simplicity. Okay. Simplicity, like Leonardo da Vinci says, is the ultimate sophistication. Okay. JIT, Benjamin, oh, hello, long time no see, is just in time. Okay, it's inventory control. In other words, you never have to hold inventory for a long time. You don't have to invest big stocks or large space for storing your inventory. It is just in time. You just get your inventory. Let's say you have a patient, they have high cholesterol. You order Colisma Extra Strength, which is the Evergreen collection, and you order 4 bottles for this patient to take for this month. Okay, why hold on to, like say, 10 or 12 bottles of Colisma in your clinic, which ties up your cash flow, as opposed to having it sent directly to the patient? And every time the patient is on the last bottle, you instruct the patient, hey, contact me so I can give you a refill. Okay, I don't have to hold on to anything in inventory. You don't have to tie up your money in inventory, in other words. And so it's called just in time. JIT is the acronym in the business world. And I come from a business background, and so that's why I'm able to give you this concept. All right. Anyway, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Sure, if I could use one needle, why not? I just use one needle. I don't have to use 20 needles. If I can use one formula, just use one formula. If I could use one herb, I could just use one herb. So don't go crazy, because simplicity is based on basics. My motto is basics is already advanced. Advanced is simply the basics applied. So a lot of people like to, oh, this is advanced and this is basic. No, actually, they're the same. Basics, you have to work your way up to understanding the basics and master the basics. And once you have the basics under your belt, then you can apply them, and they seemingly have miraculous result. Okay, some people say magic. Okay, that's fine, but I would rather say because you've learned the basics so well, you're able to apply them. Okay, so in this, I'm giving you an idea how we use acupuncture and how we go on. So for acupuncture, we choose, again, every patient that comes to you, unless they only have a very simple thing. Oh, I've got neck pain today. I've got shoulder pain today. I've got back pain today. Okay, you can choose what you want to treat with acupuncture, what you want to treat for herbals. Don't be shy about it. Break it down on your treatment plan. Okay, explain it to the patient. For your cholesterol and hypertension, I'm going to give you herbs. You're going to take that every day. If for your current condition right now, your neck and shoulder, your back pain, I'm going to treat that with acupuncture, and I need to see you twice a week for the next 5 weeks. That's 10 visits as one course of treatment. When people say 10 visits, I said, well, Rome wasn't built in a day. And the other thing is, you have to think to yourself, right? Well, first of all, that's cash flow for you, and your clinic practice success is really based upon what? Do you know? It's based on patient visits. So the more patient visits you have, the more your clinic is thriving. Okay, if you only have one patient visit per week, that's not very good. So if you see them twice a week, then you've doubled up. Even if you had 5 to 8 patients, 5 to 8 patients, you see them twice a week. That's 10 to 16 visits, already halfway to a decent number. I mean, 25, 30 is probably a very good number for number of patient visits per week from a busy practice. And then giving herbal prescriptions, that just makes you more successful. So you'll have more of a 6-figure income very easily, from it. Let's remember, acupuncture is based on channels. Okay, it is not meant for you to memorize rotely by points. And in fact, I will show you, and throughout my day speaking about the different diseases, talk about what channels are involved. Because why? The channels are what we use to focus. Channels are everything. It is the diagnosis and it is the treatment of all diseases for acupuncture. Okay, and then when you have points are simply what? For movement, for transportation, for sedation, all right, of the situation. Actually, acupuncture is a better sedation technique in the medicine. Okay, it is not really the best tonifying, because acupuncture just simply moves things. Okay, for example, you have $10,000 in the savings account. You have $1 in your checking account. If you want to buy a car, you have to move the money from the savings account to the checking account. Okay, so that's what you do. Once they're there, then you buy your car and you give the money to the car dealer. Okay, you cannot make more money just because you put a needle in. Okay, acupuncture is more transportation of movement of energy. It is not tonifying. A lot of people think it's tonifying. You're borrowing and shunting and moving funds around. Let's just take it as an analogy for business. You're not really tonifying the patient. All right. Tonification really depends on what? You sleep, you have tonification. You eat, you have tonification. You take herbs, that's tonification. You exercise and do qigong, you build up, you have tonification. Okay. You have a healthy lifestyle. You don't have a lot of stress or other issues. Okay. And so me telling you about lifestyle is also very important, because why? The whole treatment of acupuncture, it really relies upon you educating the patient. I studied Ayurveda under a student of Vasant Lad, but my teacher had told me about Vasant Lad's motto. He goes, the motto is Ayurveda buys you time to make lifestyle changes. Okay, I would have to say that acupuncture and herbals also buys you time to make lifestyle changes. Okay, and we'll discuss that in the various diseases we'll have. And everything I say will reflect all of this philosophy here. Okay, and many times people talk about the point location. Points location, as I get older and better, is the idea is really to get confirmation through palpation, channel palpation. All right. So this is a better idea for you. Okay. Don't always think, okay, it's exactly 3 tren from this location. Okay. It may be, it may not be. Okay. It can vary. All right. So the Ashur confirmation really tells. Okay. And I'm going to teach you some different ideas of how to get better Ashur confirmation. Okay. All right. Are you familiar with the term Ashur confirmation? Okay. Ashur simply is the same as in English. It's just that we don't pronounce the T. Okay. And so that's what the patient says to you when, you confirm the point, where the point is. Okay. I hope you understand what I'm saying. All right. And then when it comes to tongue, pulse, other things, diagnosis of symptoms, and then arranging them in Zhangfu or Wenbing or Shanghanlun or other types of herbal type of training, then it is good for you to understand, all right, I've got to take a look at this. And these are important data for me to get, all right, so that I can collect it and write an herbal formula. Ah, yes, Danielle, lovely to see you. Very nice, and thank you. You got my joke. All right. Anyway, let's go on. All right. So with acupuncture, identify the channels involved. Then what you're doing is you're balancing the channel with intelligent choice of points. Balancing the channel. Okay. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Intelligent choice of points. What does intelligent choice of points mean? Okay. That word intelligent is a big subjective thing, shall we say. Okay. For example, intelligent means critical thinking. And intelligent means what? Logical reasoning. And intelligent means analytical thought. Okay. I don't just do a point simply because the CAM told me to, or because, I had to memorize all these lists for the acupuncture board, okay, or the NCCAOM examination, okay. That is the lowest form of acupuncture. That should be considered the bare minimum of acupuncture, but acupuncture should have its logical reasoning, all right? So I want you to understand it. And then when I treat with acupuncture, I do Master Tung. I do what I call my own personal style called optimal acupuncture. And I think maybe a follow-up seminar might be good to teach optimal acupuncture and what my strategy is. Dr. Chen's points and circuits and I Ching points and circuits and how they vary. I use that a lot too, but today I'm going to just show very simple Master Tung's basics and then explain how Master Tung came about doing these things. And my recommendation is for all of you to have a chart on your wall. You can make it up, and I would ask you to email it to me later on. You have my contact information. And create a chart for the 12 channels and take in the chart the yin spring, the shu stream, and the shi cleft of each of those individual channels of the 12 channels, okay? Put it up in big font, tape it up on your wall. Use it from time to time, okay? Because you'll see that my understanding of acupuncture is kind of like a machine language for the body. What do I mean by machine language? It means that it's a base level, operating system that occurs in the body. It doesn't occur in the brain. It doesn't occur in the spirit or soul. It just occurs in the body, and it's simply communicating in the body to correct things or to perform a function. My strategy in explaining most people about how acupuncture works is I stimulate the body to induce a healing response, okay? I don't talk about qi and blood stasis. I don't talk about moving the qi and tonifying the blood, because they often look at me like, oh, you're crazy, man. You're woo-woo. I would never refer any patients to you because you're talking woo-woo and you're really out there. But if I simply explain to you, hey, acupuncture works because I give your body stimulation to induce a healing response, and therefore, you'll get better because of it. And I think using my methodology, you'll have more referrals from your patients as well as other practitioners, and people won't look at you as crazy as what you seem to be, okay? And then let's explain the 3 points, the yin spring, shu stream, shi cleft. Because most of acupuncture is based upon movement. You look at it, most of the problems that you have in the world are itis type of problems, inflammation. And we have certain points that work on it, okay? So the yin spring points are the ones that work for itis, okay? Any type of inflammation. Then you have the shu stream point. And the shu stream point happens to be the points that are for joint pains and wind, cold, and dampness for those joint pains. And then finally, the shi cleft points are for bleeding and for pain and for emergency. That's why they're called that, right? So yin, shu, and shi points should be used. And I would say the majority of acupuncturists don't use these points anymore because why? They're afraid, okay? The ancients all used points below the elbows and below the knees, okay? And so because they used it all below the elbows and the knees, just like the chart is right in back of me, okay? It is the Honma chart from 1941 of the 5-element acupuncture points, is a reminder to me, all right? My mentor, Jacques Marco, had told me, he's the academic dean at Evans College, had told me, hey, this is a good chart to have. You should get it. And I got it, I framed it and put it on my wall, and I occasionally refer to it. It has passages from the Classic of Difficulties, and it explains what what points are used below the elbows, below the knees, okay? The use of using local and distal points is largely modern, okay? And most people don't know how to get a good effect with using distal needling alone. And so as a result, what they say, distal needling is nice, but it doesn't really work, okay? So let me tell you the secrets, okay? You ready for the secrets? Okay. Iris asks, what is the name of the chart? The chart is by Honma, Honma is the surname of the doctor, and it's called the 5-element acupoint chart. This chart is available from redwingbooks.com. Okay, you can get it from redwingbooks.com. Okay, and it's my favorite chart. I kept it up on the wall for the last 20 plus years, and really enjoy it. Thank you. All right. So how do we do distal needling? Okay, let's say we have low back pain, a patient. So they're lying face up. They show you exactly where the low back pain is. Okay. First of all, I typically choose a point opposite to where the pain is. All right. So let's say I use UB40 and the pain is on the right side of the back. So I'll use and choose the left side, UB40. Okay. And then I'll insert it. And I'll show you some details later on how I insert it and what I do. Okay. The first thing I do is when I insert it, I ask the patient, take a deep breath. And then I press the guide tube very hard against the popliteal fossa of UB40. And then I insert the needle. I usually insert a 1.5 Tren needle. I don't have to go all the way, but I go in at least a Tren. And then what I do is I wait for a second, and then I ask them to move and wiggle their back while they're on the table to see how it feels. Okay, most get an immediate effect upon my insertion of the needles. Why is that? Because why? I'm, first of all, able to see the effect all the time. So then I know the effect of my acupuncture. And of course, we know these because we have these command points all the time. All right, for example, PC6 is command point of the chest. UB40 is command point of the back. LI4 is command point of the face and mouth. Lung 7 is the command point of the nape and the back of the head. Okay, spleen 6 is a command point for what? The uterus and visceral organs, right? For especially in gynecological disorders. Okay, so on and so forth. We know this in our training of classical acupuncture that we learned in basic TCM school. Okay, so it's good to start with pain, and when you're starting out as an acupuncturist. But if you really want to be good, then you know, okay, I can eliminate back pain just like that with one needle. And then I can pretty much do the same with shoulder pain, neck pain, any type of pain, rib cage pain, etc., with different needles, right, at different places. However, I know how well my targeting works. And then when you do that, then you move on to internal medicine problems because you want to see the effect of internal medicine. For example, okay, you can't see it immediately, obviously, like if you're treating hypertension, you can't see, well, could you see if the blood pressure goes down? Sure, you could. You can put on a cuff and then check the blood pressure and heart rate and see if it'll change. Sure. But of course, lying down will do that anyway. And then you have other things like what? Maybe cholesterol. Well, how are you going to tell cholesterol? And then how are you going to tell blood sugar? Well, with a glucometer, you could tell probably how the effectiveness of your acupuncture with the blood sugar immediately. But other things like what? Erectile dysfunction. Well, you don't want to even see it, right? They'll tell you afterwards how good your acupuncture is, okay? So with time, because you have mastered what I call your targeting system, then you'll know that you're very good with acupuncture. And I want to submit to you that acupuncture is a targeting system. What do I mean by targeting system? Is that when I use these points and these needles, okay, it will have an effect on this part of the body. Okay, this is what Master Tung said in general when he with teaching. They talk about reaction areas, okay, in the literature, okay? Has anyone else read any other Master Tung books? Okay, reaction area is typical of what he often says, okay? So what does that mean? It means that when I put the needle in, this is what the effect on the body will be, okay? That's a reaction area, so to speak, okay? So I want to clarify the nomenclature. I think most people, they take Master Tung's works too literally. For example, in Master Tung's original book, which Henry McCann sent to me and Dr. Wong sent to me, they write Sanjing. Okay, what does the nerve do? The operation of the nerve. Okay, well, it's been translated in English as reaction area, but it's so vague and fuzzy, the term, you don't know what it means. What it means is exactly what I call the targeting system. I'm targeting this area or that area. Okay, so I'll explain it to you as we go through the Tung's points. Any questions so far? I hope I'm clear. Okay, so why needle distally? Number one is you can see the immediate results of the affected area. Okay, what do I mean by that? It means that let's say if there's neck pain, if you put a bunch of needles in the neck, well, the patient can't tell you if their pain has subsided. Okay, because why? You put a bunch of needles in their neck. They can't move their neck. They can't do range of motion. They can't do extension and flexion. They can't do lateral extension. They can't do rotation, right? They can't do extension of the chin and retraction. There's none of that. Because why? You've got needles in. But if I did it remotely, I did it distally, okay, then you could get it that way. All right. For example, if I put in UB60, okay, or I put in GB39, and I ask you to move your neck, you'll be able to tell me what the results are of my needling. Okay. And then number two, for needling distally is traditionally, these were the most powerful points. Okay. Again, as I told you, practitioners use points below the elbow and below the knees. Okay. So that's basically it. Right, because they have what origins, as far as we know, even from the point of the Ma Wang Dui, the crypts in northern China that were found. They noticed what the Moxibustion Classic had points that were below the elbows, below the knees. They were not points that were, in fact, they were mostly yuan source points, basically. These were the origins of acupuncture. They were not done on the body. They were not done everywhere. But nowadays, acupuncturists are very poor. What happens to acupuncturists? Oh, you got a problem with the neck? Let me put the needles in your neck. You have problems with your shoulder? Let me put needles in your shoulder. If you have problems in your leg, let me put needles in your leg. But what is the point of it? The point is you're like a massage therapist or chiropractor. You don't use the channels. So I'm saying to you, channel theory is not a theory. The channel is a map, but it's also the principles of what? Diagnosis, of treating, okay? So it is not a theory, okay? Because why? It's only a theory if you continue to hypothesize. I think if I want to levitate, I eat several cans of beans. But well, eating several cans of beans might give you gas. It might sound like you're about to lift off, but it's not enough to overcome gravity. That's a theory. But the real principle is what? I need a force strong enough to lift me off the ground. Okay. So most people mistaken what that is. Okay. All right. Anyway, we're going on. And if you needle locally, let's say a person has neck pain, they can say, oh, you injured me more, or you can aggravate the affected area. Miriam Lee had a saying is don't spank the baby. What does it mean to not spank the baby? It means specifically don't needle locally, okay? Because if you needle locally, what happens is you make the baby cry. So if the baby's crying, why spank the baby? Okay, this is what Esther Sue told me, and I thought it's such a wonderful story. It's always an image that I have whenever I have thinking of needling. Okay, so don't needle locally. Okay, so what is okay? So Michael says, what is the difference between channels and nerve pathways, and is qi in the body equivalent to a nerve reaction? Biological nerve is energy. Okay, the two paradigms do not intermix. So I would suggest you to keep the two paradigms separate, okay? For example, this is what Western medicine says and science says, and this is what Chinese medicine says, but don't try to equalize them. But when Master Tung was trying to explain his method, okay, first of all, the Dong family notes and books were all destroyed during the Sino-Japanese War and perhaps the civil war in China between the communists and the Republic of China. All right. So when he used the modern term sanjing, okay, sanjing is really the nerves. Then he's trying to say that there's a nerve reaction area to the body. Okay. I don't think it was a very good and clear choice of words, and he probably should not have used it. I would rather say targets this area. Okay. This point targets this area. And when we get into the points, I'll explain and show you what I mean by that. Okay. Thank you, Danelle. You got my joke. Okay. You guys got my joke. All right. And, you know, let's all remember Miriam Lee, because she's wonderful to our profession. And then, be respectful to her teachings. And she left us a legacy of her two books, Master Tung Acupuncture, which is strangely spelled as Tungs Acupuncture, but it should be Dong's Acupuncture, D-O-N-G, if you're using pinyin, or if you're using the Wade Giles system, which is still used on Taiwan today, which I think is a very, very, very poor romanization of Chinese. You know, it didn't take into account different dialects, and I don't even think it's based on Beijing dialect. Okay, most of it is farcical. Okay, they romanize Beijing as Peking. So you don't eat Beijing Beijing duck. You eat Peking duck. It's not even close to what it is. I know. However, Cantonese, maybe it's Peking. Okay, maybe that's what it was. So I often think this Wade Giles, these two guys are clowns, you know. So unfortunately, it was not good, but it was something at the time that everyone could use. The fact that China has switched over to the pinyin system and based it on Mandarin or Putonghua is much better, and you know, it is a better way of using romanization. Okay, any questions about why we needle distally? Okay, and then I'll give you my clinical pearls as we go through, so to best optimize how we do things. Okay, all right. So again, it's your seminar, and I've got the webinar chat on, so I'm happy to answer your questions. Okay, we'll go through. In the Chinese thought, we always talk about when you drink water, remember the source. And it's a very famous Chinese saying. So every day I go to the clinic, you know, I say a little prayer for Master Tung and for my teachers who passed on and our ancestors. So ancestor worship is part of Chinese culture, but it's also for us to feel part of that ancestry. And just as much as the medicine has passed down to us, we're all human, and because we're all human, we give homage to those who have come before us and passed down their great medicine to us. We stand on the shoulders of giants, okay, and if it was not, then I would say that we have to, we have to keep that in mind, okay? Michael Tierra, I haven't seen much effect needling opposite side only. Dome points are fantastic. I know, Michael. I'm a great fan of yours, and you have written many authoritative books, as I know, and I know you studied with Miriam Lee. And needling opposite side only, I'll explain it to you. basically, in classical, we do say a left side for men, right side for women. The easy way to remember is women are always right. My wife reminds me of that all the time. And then my daughter does too now. So I just want you to know. But I do want to say that we do opposite side only for pain, not always for only opposite side. And then in the long run, after a while, I've tried it both ways. Opposite can mean top and bottom. Okay, it doesn't always mean necessarily left and right. It can also mean top and bottom. So, for example, if someone has a headache, okay, I notice that if I needle kidney 1, I can needle left side or right side. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. Okay, on some females, I'll needle their left side kidney 1. On some males, I'll needle their right side kidney 1. It still has an effect because it's opposite, because it's bottom versus top. Okay, so maybe that's a different way of looking at it. Okay, so you can consider the left and right, but you can also consider the top and the bottom. And then most of my acupuncture points are on the legs. Okay, why do I say they're on the legs? Because you have a double effect of my treatment. Okay, number one is when I'm stimulating them. Okay, let's not forget that your 2 thighs are your other 2 hearts. We have 3 hearts in the body, the one in the chest and then your left and right thighs, because the thighs move the blood. Okay, I came across this when studying Bagua with a famous master. And he told me that certain postures like Bei Sen Zhang, okay, I use Bei Sen Zhang, and then I walk in a circle with it. I will have alleviation of neck and shoulder pain. And I didn't really believe him. But when one day I was in so much pain, I decided to try Bei Sen Zhang. Bei Sen Zhang is the back of the body, upper back of the body, palm. And I walked in a circle. And when I was walking in a circle, the legs were pumping the blood. And I could feel, oh, this posture allows the blood to go into the neck and shoulder area and upper back. And then I got the effect. I'd never gotten that type of internal effect before. And then it made me cognizant of what he taught me. The value of what he taught me is kind of a medicine where it was allowed for self-healing. So any of you who have studied the martial arts, you'll be able to understand. Now, my Bagua, I'm a mix. I have learned Li Ziming's Bagua. I learned Sun Lu Tang's Bagua. I learned the Yin style Bagua. So for some of you who know Bagua, you know Bagua, the twisting. This is Bei Sen Zhang. This is not a typical posture in the Zheng system, right? But it's a common posture in it. Now, notice the twisting of the arms, okay? And then the shoulder has to twist towards the center. And then when I'm walking, then I'm able to walk the circle holding this posture, okay? So I just want to give you that. All right, let's continue on. So this is Master Dong. I hate the way his name is romanized in Wade Giles, okay? But in Pinyin, his name would be Dong Jingchang, okay? But most people would pronounce it Qingchang, which is kind of like a slur to me growing up in New York City. I really hated it, and I really don't like it. So Jingchang was his proper name, okay? And he was Taiwan's most revered acupuncturist, the acupuncturist to Chiang Kai-shek, okay? Jiang Zhishi, okay, the president of Taiwan at that time. Okay, he was the inheritor of the Dong family system and creator of our method. Okay, so that's who he was. He was an actual person. He actually existed. Okay, so my teachers who have given me the teaching and inspiration, and then I have formed my own organization since 2004. It's called ITARA, International Dong's Acupuncture Research Association. And yes, Dong is the way you pronounce T-U-N-G, tongue, right? It is not Master Tung, right? It is Master Dong, okay, or Master Tung. I don't know how other people pronounce it, but it should be Dong. In Pinyin, it is Dong, okay? And it is not Tong, because T-O-N-G would be wrong, like the Blue Poppy book did. It should be Dong, D-O-N-G, Dong. Okay, sorry, Donna. Thank you. Okay, about this weekend, please excuse any gender pronouns that may be exclusive for an audience this size. I don't mean to offend anyone. This is just, traditionally how things were arranged. I want you to know that maybe it's more my perception of how the genders come to my clinic. Okay, what I mean by that is if a disease is both, okay, I simply listed in one of the categories as I have seen more cases of that gender coming to the clinic for that disease, okay, and based on my clinical experience. So if you see some male diseases, which are also female diseases, please excuse it, okay? It's not such a big deal. The thing is, the important thing is we talk about how to treat it. And because the human physiology is about the same, with some exceptional differences between male and female, then mostly I will have to say that these diseases will pertain to that gender. Okay, and then to get the best results, try needling yourselves. Okay. Because why? An acupuncture seminar really requires hands-on. We are a physical medicine, and because we are a physical medicine, we require you to try it. First, try it on yourselves, and then on Tuesday, what happens is, or Monday, you go to the clinic and you try it on your patients, and you see, because then you have confidence of what I taught you works or not works, okay? And you can see it. And so I'll ask some of you during the times that we talk, to try it on yourselves or to locate the points. And I'll try to give you as many pointers as we can to see what the result is and how to find the points, etc. Okay. All right. Let's start out with my basic acupuncture prescription, because I was a clinical supervisor for Emperor's College for about 8 years. I noticed that the students needed to have some sort of structure. And what I did was I thought of, for a long time, my 10 points, okay? And my 10 points came about because, why? I had heard a long time ago from Dr. Yang that Tungs acupuncture is based on Pi Wei Lun. Pi Wei Lun is the discussion of spleen and stomach disorders written by Li Dongyuan. Li Dongyuan is a very famous doctor during the Jin and Yuan dynasties' time. Li Dongyuan is the creator of the spleen and stomach school, okay? And because he's the creator of the spleen and stomach school, his basic principle is, unlike most acupuncture who use this pentagram to illustrate the 5 elements, Li Dongyuan used the cross, okay? And so earth was the center of that cross. So then you have, of course, on the left is wood, then on the north is fire, then there's metal, and then finally there's water on the south, right? And in the center is earth, okay? So because of that, I thought that, well, the most important thing in Tungs acupuncture is realize that if I'm going to teach, okay, if I'm going to teach, then I should emphasize the spleen and stomach, just like it was. And however, I see most Tungs practitioners do not do it anymore. How important the spleen and stomach is, okay? So I wanted to remind my own personal students that if you're going to treat, if you treat the spleen and stomach, which is the source of Hou Tian Qi, Hou Tian Qi means the post-heaven Qi, okay, that you will have great results, especially if you treat the spleen and stomach. Then the other thing about the spleen and stomach is that the spleen and stomach, since it's earth, it touches all of the other elements. So if you make the spleen and stomach very strong, then all the other elements will be good. And then my other choice was, because we live in modern society is based on time-based, results-oriented life. So the most agitated channels are the liver and the gallbladder, because the liver and gallbladder are very essential to one's life. I have to be on time. I have to determine. I need to have the resolve and strength and courage to do things properly. Then as a result of it, okay, what we have to do is treat the liver and gallbladder channels. So just think of my method as spleen, stomach, liver, gallbladder for this basic offering. And then I just offer for you guys the use of this template. Okay, it's a template, but you modify as you need. Okay, if I give you you can do modifications. And in fact, the whole class is modifications of this basic 10 points. And if you can master these 10 points, then that's good. Now, Elham, you were saying you're too much of a wimp to do kidney 1. No. Actually, if you try it and you don't do it to yourself, that's fine. But if you do it to your patients, that's even better, because they won't feel it much, because you're going to tell them how to do it, and I'll give you pointers on how to do it. So nothing to worry about it. And okay. Anyway, let's move on. All right. So my points are what? Cha San Huang, stomach 36 and 37. The last 3 years, I've had to deal with a lot of COVID in the clinic, not necessarily where they had active COVID, but had lingering long COVID symptoms. I switched it from stomach 41 and 43. And then on the right side, I use the points Ho Ying, Ho Zu, which are Master Tung's version of liver 2, liver 3, and liver 6, and then GB 34, 39. So it's a mix of Master Tung's points, 5 Master Tung's points, and 5 regular TCM type points. All needles are perpendicular insertion, retained for 28.8 minutes. Actually, I round that up to 30. So when I schedule patients, I usually have 40-minute increments for patients on the table from talk to table for about 30 minutes, and then I get them out because I collect money or give them super bills or whatever. I can always add 2 points, yin tang, and do 20, where I do flat insertion, and yin tang and do 20. What I'm doing here is calming the mind. But lately, as I said, I've been doing a lot of kidney 1, kidney 3, just for fun. Okay, fun for me, because why? I don't have to have it. Okay, so let's look at Sha San Huang. Sha San Huang is a abbreviated name for the 3 points, right? Ren Huang, Di Huang, and Shen Guan. Okay, so I put in Tian Huang over there so that you know that they were originally 3 yellows, or 3 emperors. Actually, I'm sorry, 3 emperors. Tian Huang is spleen 9, and so we use that as a guide point or a guide for us to know where Shen Guan is, because Shen Guan is 1.5 chun below the Tian Huang point. Okay, so how do we find Ren Huang? You can use the TCM spleen 6 as your guide. However, put the spleen 6 where it touches the bone. Okay, touches the medial border of the tibia. Okay, if it touches the border, the medial border of the tibia where it scrapes the periosteum, great for you. Okay, you did a very good job. How do you do it? Don't use your fingertip. Do not use your fingertip. Okay, because why? Most TCM doctors are taught to use their fingertips, and that's wrong, because it can add an extra half chun or extra 1 chun, depending on how big your fingers are, okay, to the point location. So I have a mnemonic to memorize. Use your nail and you won't fail. Use your nail and you shall prevail. If I don't want to fail, I use my nail. Okay, so you could just remember, use your nail to find the point. Okay, if you used your nail to find the point, then you will have a better outcome. Okay, so, but the other thing is, don't have too long a nail. You see, I keep my nails very short for the clinic, because why? I don't want to like stab people. So long nails, no good, but you still have to have enough of a nail to have palpation of it, okay? So Miriam, she was a fan of meatloaf, okay? So Michael, I want you to know that's why she did two emperors. Do you know what I'm talking about? Meatloaf, the singer. Yes, Meatloaf. Miriam was a fan of the singer Meatloaf, but actually she probably did palpation. I'm referring to Meatloaf's song, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? So that's why. But that's why we call it Sha San Huang. It's 3 points. It's not 2 points, okay? So I want you to understand that, right? So if you want to, it's just like Dr. Wong has told me, you don't have to use all 3 points. You can just palpate and see which of these 4 points here are actually sensitive, okay? So one of my patients, I palpate Ren Huang, and she feels like jumping off the table. Then I squeeze near Di Huang, and then she feels like jumping off the table. Then I squeeze Shen Guan, and she feels like jumping off the table again. And then I squeeze Tian Huang, and she wants to jump off the table. So in her case, I might put 4 needles, but I know 3 is already enough, okay? So I don't have to do all 4 points. I can do as little as 2 points. I can also do as little as 1 point, okay? But the idea is I'm accessing the channels, and then my touch is actually stimulating the body already. Because why? I'm doing palpation, I'm using my nail. If you get the reaction where the patient wants to jump, I'm not asking you to make the patient jump off the body, off the table, but I'm just saying that that's a possible reaction of some patients, okay? So I do want to make it clear to you that that's all very, very possible, okay? Anyway, let's move on. Di Huang is actually the point liver 6, although most of you find it on the border of the tibia. Okay, I don't think that's a good position for liver 6. Actually, if it's off the bone, again, at the border of the medial tibia there, okay, the medial border of the tibia, then I think that is a better location of it. And Di Huang has an incredible effect on what? Intrascapular pain. If any of you ever use it, you palpate it right now. Anyone want to try palpate Di Huang point? Okay, use your nail, go up about 7 chun above the tip of the medial malleolus. Some people say above the upper border of the malleolus, go up 7 chun. Now, I won't split hairs on it, and both are correct. Then that's why I say more and more as I'm getting older, Usher point is really the determining factor of it. So Leanne asks a question. So also only using your nail to palpate for sensitivity? I would say because Tungs acupuncture requires you to skim close to the bone, using the nail is better than your fingertips. You can use your fingertips first, but if you want to be really sure, you use your nail to be very sure. And then when we come to points on the toes or on the foot, you'll see that my suggestion of using the nails is sage advice. It's not just regular advice, it's sage advice. I'm not saying I'm a sage, but I am saying that it's very wise for you to listen to what I'm saying, okay? And I want you to know that I'm not a traditionalist with regards to needle gauge, okay? I usually use 38 gauge needles. That's because I have wimp patients. No, it's not that. It's because patients, why should they be uncomfortable? I asked Dr. Yang in our private conversations, what gauge needles did Master Tung use? I said he used 28 gauge, 30, 32 gauge, because Dr. Yang likes to use 32 gauge, 28 gauge, 30 gauge. And he says, no, Master Tung used custom needles. They were by hand made and at that time. And he goes, most of the needles were probably about 24, 26 gauge. I said, what? I said, that's ridiculous, you know? And of course, and when we look at Master Tung's documents, especially what Dr. Wong has lectured upon before at E. Lotus here, he discussed Long No's case Long Nol was the Cambodian president who invited Master Tung to come live at his residence in Cambodia for about 2 to 3 months to treat him for post hemiplegia from a stroke. Okay, and then Master Tung will give treatment at least twice a day. Okay, with twice a day, he would use only 2 or 3 needles. That's it. Bottom line. Why? Because he's using big gauge needles. Okay, big gauge needles is really a key when you want long-term effect. I'm not saying that it has to be for today, but we have to adapt to the culture and where we are today. So I want you to know that you don't have to do it. I use 38. Sometimes I use 40 gauge needles, right? I find that after 40 gauge, you start losing control of the needles. Too darn thin. You don't get enough stimulant for it. Okay. Now, Michael asked the question: how important do I think getting De Qi is on Tung's points? I want to say I want to refer to a passage that in the old days, when you were fishing, they said that De Qi is like going fishing. Okay, so you have your fishing line, you throw it into the water, and as I throw it into the water, I wait for the fish, okay, to nibble and bite. Okay, so the fish is making its rounds. If you threw the baited hook right in front of the fish, you probably scare the heck out of the fish. But if the fish wanders about it, he's making his rounds. He's thinking, hey, what is that? That's the bait. And then when you feel the line pulling, what happens is you suddenly pull it taut, and then you hook the fish, and then you pull it up. So the ancient classics said that getting De Qi is like fishing. If getting De Qi is like fishing, that means you patiently wait. So most acupuncturists these days, they put in their needle, and then they spin it and twirl it, spin it and twirl it, spin it and twirl it. I'd say from the Ming Dynasty onward, you got a bunch of impatient acupuncturists hoping to get De Qi. And that's like using, instead of a fish baited hook, okay, what they're using instead is they're using fly fishing lures, where you have artificial lures and you have to automatically move it and get jiggy with it. Okay, I would have to say you don't need it. If you put it in, you'll see the De Qi will immediately affect. And actually, when you palpate, you already have De Qi. Okay, when you palpate, when the patient feels like jumping off the table, they already feel like De Qi sensation is there. So the analogy is not mine, okay, but I just modernized it. Okay, it is from the classics, so I encourage you to still read the classics. As I understand, the California Acupuncture Board has gotten rid of the recommended reading list. So if that's the case, I still encourage all acupuncturists to be readers, because why? The connection from the ancients till now is a very, very long history, over 2,500 years of written history. So why don't we take advantage of it, right? And I also want you to know, Chinese medicine is not just acupuncture. Maybe 20% of Chinese medicine as a whole, if we look at all the classics written in Chinese literature, the majority of the classics, 80% of them, are dealing with herbs. They are not dealing with acupuncture. Acupuncture is probably 20%. So let's never forget that we are Chinese medicine practitioners. We are not just acupuncturists. Now, some people on the East Coast, some people in other states, they're just acupuncturists. They are not herbalists, okay? And as a result, they are confused by their practice of acupuncture, because they're practicing some sort of herbalized acupuncture. It's having all the TCM theories of herbs applied to acupuncture, which is very weird. Okay, I could even say that it's not traditional. It's only as traditional as the 1950s, when the CCP and Mao Zedong said, we need acupuncture. Acupuncture is a great treasure, storehouse of treasure. Okay, and we have to refine and update it as such. Okay, So I think very important to understand what you are practicing. And the practicing, as I'm suggesting, what I learned from Dr. Yang, Dr. Wang, and from Dr. Chen, as well as classical acupuncture, that is all the same acupuncture. That's pre-Mao era acupuncture. And what you're doing right now is still practicing the post-Mao era acupuncture that's gone forward. It is an herbalized acupuncture. I'm not saying it's a bad or doesn't work, but it's probably not as good as the classical acupuncture models that I am giving forth. And then I would say I'm modernized classical acupuncture for use in the clinics, and you'll see as we keep going on and talking. And that's also another benefit of studying Tungs acupuncture. Because why? When you're studying Tungs acupuncture, what happens is you have more benefit to yourself to see what the old system was, and then how do I compare the old system to the new system. Okay, let's move on. All right, the next set of points is Hoying and Hozu. Here I have a little illustration that shows the difference between liver 2 and liver 3. Let's look at Hozu, which is Master Tung's liver 3. Hozu is just distal to the junction of the first and second metatarsal bones. How can you palpate it? You can't palpate it with your finger pad. Okay, do you understand? You cannot palpate it with your tip of your finger. You can probably get an idea, but you can't feel the junction, just distal to the junction. So in order for you to feel just distal to the junction, maybe some of you want to slip off your shoes and socks and try it. You feel for it, you palpate it, even though you palpate hard with your fingertip, okay, you can't get the feeling. But if you use your nail, oh yeah, I can feel that crevice. How many of you confirm what I'm saying? So that's why I say, use your nail, you can't fail. Okay, don't use your nail, you will fail. I'm sorry, right? That's the truth. It is better. My way is better. I wouldn't give you bad advice, because I'll tell you why I don't want to give you bad advice. Because there's a curse in Chinese which says, do not mislead the future generations. Okay? I'm 60. I come to a point in my life where I already know heaven's decree. Okay? Confucius said at 50, a man knows 天意, the heaven's will. So because of that, then I don't want to mislead the future generations. I want to make sure that the future generations have good, proper practice. If you don't have good, proper practice, then we're all a farce. Our profession is in danger, ready to go. So I better tell you the truth. Okay? So you better listen and learn, because if not, who knows? We all hanging by a vine, a thread. Who knows how quickly we go? So, all right. So Hoying is half trend from the web margin, okay? And so that's the best way to find Hoying. So it's not quite liver 2, which is at the margin, but it's a half trend posterior to liver 2, okay? So that's the difference. So we use Hoying and Hozu rather than liver 2, liver 3. Now for noobs who don't remember the Chinese name, okay, or for noobs who don't want to bother learning Master Tung's points, just use liver 2, liver 3. You'll get the results. That's fine. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. But what you would do is you would go forth from there. Now I have some question. Do I use Asha confirmation with all of my points? No, I don't. All right. Sometimes I just put it in because I know it so well. And then there's another question. When we went to school, we learned TCM and did not do or learn distal needling. Actually, you did, because you learned the antique points. So my question is, does distal needling give long-term effect as much as TCM? Of course it does. And in fact, as I was saying, when we needle the legs, post-treatment, that we're also moving the legs so that you're opening up the wounds again, the micro wounds that you cause with acupuncture. As a result, they're getting additional treatment from moving the legs, walking, in other words, okay? So it actually may give longer effect, but let's not forget what needling is. Needling is when I needle someone, it is like doing a surgical cut. It is healing by first intention. Healing by first intention is a clean surgical cut and will heal within immediate 24 to 36 hours, maybe even 72 hours. It will heal completely. Okay. So with acupuncture, that is what you're doing. You're causing a surgical wound, healing by first intention that will last about 72 hours. That's why you see a patient every other day. Okay. That is the duration of acupuncture. All right. And that's why I say cumulatively 10 treatments is a course of treatment. Okay. So then I'll know what could be done. And it goes, all right, there's another question. Sudamini is asking, I know the patient can be tested by asking to move certain parts while needling the distal non-affected area. Okay, good. All right. So as I said, my way of using it is palpate using the nail, insert the needle, wait for the results, ask the patient to comply and work with you as in a partnership. If you're asking the patient's confirmation, you will get a good confirmation of it. And then Elham asks about what size needles do I use for babies, toddlers, children, teenagers. I use the same size needle, 38 or 40 gauge, but I may not retain for babies and toddlers. For young children, I may not retain. I may just twirl it a few times. And teenagers, I generally just insert it and leave it in. They're as good as adults, so nothing to worry about. So I hope I've answered all three questions. I don't have time to type right now. I'm too slow a typist. All right, so let's go on. Okay, so my protocol graphically, you're going to see this image quite a bit in your notes, this cross. Yes, I was a Catholic boy, so I say, don't use the pentagram, haha, use the cross, haha. Okay, all right, bad joke, but just for fun. All right, so this represents your left side, left upper side, and this represents your left lower, and this is your right upper side, and this is your right lower side, okay? So Sha San Huang and stomach 36 and 37, I use on the left side. As I said, for COVID, I've used stomach 41 and 43 instead. But now where things are going back, so we're going forward with stomach 36 and 37 again. And on the right side, you just think of it. My stomach and spleen is on my left side. My liver and gallbladder is on my right side. So I choose points that are on the right side. Huoying, Huozu, liver 6, and then GB 34, 39. Okay, so those are my 10 points. My 10 points had different names in the early days, but nowadays we just call it Dr. Chu 10-point protocol. Okay, so very easy, and I'm glad that you guys are having fun with this. All right, question here. All right, why did I use stomach 36, 37 during COVID? No, I was telling you that I was using stomach 41 and 43 during COVID time, and then now that we're coming back to normal, just about, then I've gone back to stomach 36 and 37. Okay, but why didn't I use those? Because people were having more respiratory issues. Stomach 41 is the Jing River point of the stomach channel. It treats all cough problems. And then stomach 43 is actually Master Tung's Menjing point. Menjing means the gate of the lungs, or the gate of metal. So as a result, I felt that it was a time to protect all patients. Remember, the best doctors are what? Those who prevent prophylactically, okay? You treat disease before it happens, okay? So Constance, I know the diagram is confusing. Just think of it as a patient is lying down on your table. You're at the left of the patient, and the left side would be the spleen channel and stomach channel. The right side would be the liver channel and the gallbladder channel. So closer to you would be, because you're standing on the patient's left side, is the spleen and stomach. That would be on the left side. And then if you go at the right side, it's liver, gallbladder. Okay, so I hope that's clear for you. As you can see, we're making good use of the chat room so that we can discuss things. Okay. All right. Do Hanqing, he was the compiler of the Da Chang, the great compendium of acupuncture and moxibustion. Okay, he had a saying, disease is like a rabbit running in the field. We have to use a net wide enough to catch it. And if you look at my graph here, I'm looking at disease. So I have a basic 10-point protocol that can treat all kinds of disease. And you can use my 10-point protocol as the acupuncture tune-up, or you could use it for people who have indigestion problems, who have stress problems, or they have problems with relaxation. All right, they can't sleep at night. Okay, it will all benefit them. Any type of digestive problems, any type of stress-related problems. So everything will be there. Okay. All right. So that's my net to catch the rabbit. So rabbit is running in the field. It's a disease running in your body. And so what I want to do is I want to catch that rabbit. So I throw a net wide enough. I use the net by joining up 10 acupuncture points, 5 on the left, 5 on the right. All right. Questions? I hope it's clear. You'll have to understand this, okay, in order to move on. All right. So I'm really going to emphasize it, and we'll see it over and over and over again. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Donna, should we take a break here? We're at 10:22. Should we take like a 10-15 minute break? All right, let's do it. So how much time do we have for a break? Say, okay, let's make it 15 minutes. I'll see you in 15 minutes. That will be 10:37. Okay, I'll see you at 10:37. Thank you so much.